Welcome back to the More Than Capable Mompreneur podcast. I'm Shannon Baker, a coffee-loving mompreneur that started as a virtual assistant and turned into a total systems geek. And I want to help you shift your mindset and embrace your worthiness while creating systems in your business so you can be more productive and build success on your own terms without the mom guilt. Are you loving that? Well, I hope you're ready for real conversations that will help you beat the perfectionist inside, rediscover your strengths, and up-level your self-love in the mom cracks of time so you can stop letting fear hold you back because you are enough and you do enough. We are more than capable mompreneurs. So grab your cup of coffee, some sparkling water, or pour a glass of your favorite wine and let's dive in. I know you have a lot on your plate, but we all know it's important to create quality content so that we can be consistent with posting on our social media accounts. But if this is not your expertise, it can be a time-consuming process that sometimes even leaves you feeling overwhelmed. I know that's the way that I feel sometimes, so there are moments where I just don't even post online. So I thought there has to be a way to streamline this process and save me some time. And guess what? There is. My friend Lora Shipman has a trademark process that is going to be a game changer for you. It's called Batch and Slay. And Laura's going to tell us all about it in the chat that I had with her. She's the owner and founder of Shipman Media, and she is passionate about increasing her clients' visibility so they can serve their clients better. And on her podcast, The Lora Shipman Show, she generously shares her expertise about social media and the digital marketing trends so that her listeners can confidently maximize their time to generate higher profits and serve more people. Isn't that what you want? I know you do. So grab a pen and paper so you can hear more about Laura's Batch and Slay process in episode number 73. So I'm so excited to chat with today's guest. This is one of my coffee-loving biz besties you all hear me talk about all the time, Miss Lora Shipman. I am so glad to have you on the show today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me on. This is going to be great.
Yes, it is actually long overdue. I can't believe it's taken this long for me to have you on because I've been on your podcast. So today, Lora is going to share some tips. She has a specific signature method called Batch and Slay, which I love the name of her method. It's trademarked too, isn't it, Lora?
Yep. I have a little trademark there.
Awesome. Wonderful. So before we dive in and talk about how we can save time by batching our content creation, tell us a little bit about, yourself, your background, what you do for our audience.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a social media manager and consultant and a fellow podcaster. So I manage a lot of different companies and industries' social media profiles. And so that means researching the content that goes out there, creating the graphics, writing the content, and scheduling it out. So there's quite a few, and I do it all by myself. I'm a one-woman show, and I like it. I enjoy it. And it's my passion. Just writing content for me is fun. So that's basically in a nutshell what I do. I also do some one-on-one consulting for people who want to learn how to level up their social media game. And I focus mostly on the top 3 social media platforms. So that would be Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So everything I bet we talk about today is going to be centered around those 3 with my Batch and Slay method.
Yes, and you all are going to love these tips. So, of course, the key word in this episode is batching. So, Laura, tell us a little bit about what a batching process looks like.
Yeah, so I had to develop something because if you imagine, I work for, 12 or more clients at a time. And so for me, I didn't want to be sitting in front of my computer just creating content like all the time because it would kind of stump my creative outlet. So what I did is I had to figure out a system so that I could create everybody's social media content almost a month in advance. Almost every single client I have, we do it in a month in advance. And so I thought, what would be the best way to do it? And so some of my clients I write blogs for. So when I first developed this batching system, I used one piece of pillar content to kind of drive the ship, and that would be the blog post. And I recommend a lot of people maybe start here because it's really good to blog for your business. And I know sometimes people sit there and go, oh my God, I have to think of something to write, for my blog. This is a way to get you disciplined to do that. So what I do is I think about what is the theme for the month, and I'll pick. So let's take February, for example. There's like an overarching theme, which might be love, for example, because of Valentine's Day. So if you can weave that in to your content, that's a fun way to do it. March, you might pick luck as your theme for the month. So there's two ways I batch. So for my clients, what I'll do is I'll figure out what their theme or what their focus is for the month. And then I'll write a blog post on that focus. So for example, let's say I have a client and they post 3 times a week. Usually there are 4 weeks in a month. And so that comes down to 12 posts. So I know I need to write 12 posts for the month. So what I'll do is I'll think about what that blog topic will be and how I can get maybe 12 paragraphs out of it. Maybe I can get 12 tips out of it. Maybe I can get 12 pieces of a framework, although I won't say that's a 12-piece framework because that's a really big framework, but you get my drift. Like there's 12 pieces of value that I'm going to weave into that blog post. And this is kind of where repurposing comes in. So I'm thinking, okay, so now I've got that outline of, I know I have to come up with 12 posts. I know what that theme is going to be for my client or for myself. And I'm going to make sure I have 12 pieces of content weaved into that blog post. And then I'll write that blog post. When that blog post is written, I've proofread it, read it and everything. Now it's time for me to create my social media content. And what I'll do is I'll look at that and I'll pull out those 12 pieces and create mini posts out of it that will fit really well into Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Once I have those 12 written pieces of content done, then I'll go over to Canva and create a graphic that matches up with those 12 pieces that I've pulled out. And then all of a sudden, I've got 12 posts that are ready to go, and I can schedule them out on social media. So that's one way I tackle it. And then, so that's the batching portion of it. And a lot of people will sit there and they'll say, well, gosh, how long does that take you to do? Because that's like, it can be tedious. I think for a business, like one business, like for you, Shannon, if you were to set aside maybe 1 to 2 hours of just writing time, I think that's doable once a month instead of piecemealing it out, because I think it wastes your time piecemealing.
It does. And the key, of course, I'm a big time blocker. So while I don't necessarily do a month at a time, I do allocate in my schedule specific time blocks where I focus on my content batching. Now, mine doesn't start with the blog post, but I do that process for my podcast. So it's, let me block this time where I'm going to come up with my topics based on my theme for the month. And then it goes from there. And then I take my actual podcast recording, the transcribed version, and that turns into my blog post. But then I still have to come back and do the batch of, now, how can I break all of this down and repurpose it to use it on social media? So yeah, definitely putting that into your schedule. And like you say, because otherwise it can be overwhelming. And we know if it feels overwhelming, we tend to put it off or we just kind of wing it, which then is why we don't get success. But your method, what I love about your method is you can take the pieces of it and kind of customize it to what works for you as an individual.
Yeah. And so there's some science that backs this up a little bit. So I want to imagine you're in your car and you're stopped at a red light and the red light turns green. So you hit the gas and you're trying to get up to that cruising speed of, I don't know, 50 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour. It takes a lot of energy to get your car to get there. And it's not very efficient for your car to accelerate to the cruising speed, right? Mm-hmm. But once you hit that cruising speed in your car becomes more efficient. Well, your brain works kind of the same way. And that's why batching is so important, because what happens is, and this is why I do my written part first, I stay in that written zone for a while. And that first post or that first sentence or that first paragraph might be really hard and slow. But once you get into that rhythm and that zone, it comes a lot quicker. So when you first sit down to either write your blog or your post or something like that, it might be a struggle, but just ride that wave through and then really try and stay focused without interruption. And then toggle over to graphics, because then your brain's going to switch into graphic mode. And to create graphics is going to move a lot faster too. So I try and avoid toggling back and forth.
Oh, yes. And you know, I'm not a fan of jumping from task to task, because as you said, you have to shift your brain, and then the time it takes for your brain to adjust, you actually lose time, because it's like, wait a minute, it's like slamming on the brakes on your brain and then like throwing it back in gear and expecting it to be able to take off.
Yeah. So, that's exhausting. So you brought up a good point, like you don't write a blog. And so I know a lot of people don't write a blog. So maybe let me start with one piece of content and try and create a batched amount of work. I have another system. It's also the batch and slay system, but it's for people who don't write blogs. So the way I look at this one is I think of, I ask people to write down 4 or 5 topics inside their business that they want to be known for. Mm-hmm. And so then what I do is so you figure out what that is for your business. So if you're an esthetician, someone who does facials, let's say you want to be known for anti-aging, reactive skin like rosacea, stuff like that, acne. I'm trying to think of 2 more. But you get the drift. Like you come up with all these different skin conditions that you want to be known for as the authority in. Plot that out on a calendar. So each of those, whether it's a 4-week month or a 5-week month, you have 4 or 5 pillar topics that you can talk about. And so I literally do that I'm like looking at, I don't know if you use the video or not from our segment. No, just, okay. So I'm looking at a paper planner, and it's done by the month, right? And it's a month at a view. And so for each week, I write down, okay, pillar topic for week 1 is going to be this. Pillar topic for week 2 is going to be this. Pillar topic for week 3 is going to be this. And week 4 is going to be this. So what this does, when you focus on a pillar topic per week, your audience gets to know, oh, Lora really knows about social media analytics. She's posted 3 times this week about social media analytics. She might be the go-to person for that. Instead of sending a bunch of different messages to your audience about different topics within your business, that's like a BB gun effect, like you're all over the place. The precision is not there. Your audience, you're training your audience to get to know you for certain specialties. And then you become that go-to person. So when I batch and slay this way, what I do is I create, a topic for each week of the month. I pick 3 days of the week to be business type posts. So for example, the first week of January for me was I focused on hashtags. And so I did 3 posts surrounding hashtags that first week. And then the other 2 posts during that week were maybe something about me or something fun or some sort of engagement post that I did with my audience. So it's not just like business all the time. So does that make sense how I broke it down week by week?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a strategy, like you mentioned, like our audience may hear phrases like your content pillars, or your business pillars, or, Allison Scholes, our mutual coffee buddy and biz bestie, she calls them content buckets. So it's like, what do you want to be known for? Like you said, you start with that, and having that piece of information has really helped me to focus on, okay, I want to be known for systems and productivity. So these are my 4 categories. And then, like you mentioned, everything we post doesn't have to be business. That's just so corporate, so to speak. Social media is supposed to be fun. So varying the type of content that you can share tips, but it can still be done in a practical way. And you can post like the intro, like we all do this. I see some new faces. Let me
Yes.
tell you a little bit about myself. Or I love some of your this or that kind
Those are
of.
fun. Yeah.
Those are fun. They're really fun.
Well, and it's good because it just gives people a break from the daily grind, right? So if you can play a game with them and interact with them and make yourself memorable for having fun with your audience, I think that goes a long way.
Absolutely. So, what two characteristics would you say are needed for someone to be able to batch and slay their content?
Yeah, I think the first one is to have the discipline to sit down and do it. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really important because if you can't carve that time out for yourself to do it, it won't get done. And then the other one is patience. And I think that you have to be really patient to see the process through. And like I said, when you're first accelerating your brain, like that car, it's going to take some time before you get to that cruising speed. And so if you can have those two things, I think it would be great.
Okay, those are good. Definitely discipline. And
Yeah.
I use that word a lot too, because I know setting up systems isn't fun, but you have to have the discipline to sit down and just get it done. So then you get
Mhm.
to focus on all the other stuff that you want to do.
Mhm.
Now, the other question I have for you, is one of my favorites. What are some of your batching tools that you would
Mhm.
recommend? And I know what one of them is going to be.
So I use a bunch of different tools. And I think one of the first ones I use to get me started is Trello. Like I love Trello because I love the mobile version of Trello because when I'm walking, I walk every morning and usually I'm listening to podcasts or listening to YouTube videos and those generate ideas for me, right? And so I have my phone with me and so I'm just jotting down ideas for future thoughts. So that's one of them. Another one that I use that I think for me is just really important is Google Drive. I love it. So I'll use Google Docs and I'll separate out each week of the year, for my posts and I'll just like write everything in a Google Doc. Now, for me, I use that too because sometimes I have clients, like I have a family law attorney that I use that I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to misrepresent her and say anything wrong. So I like using a collaborative tool like that so she can see. What I'll do is I'll batch all of her stuff at the beginning or at the end of the previous month, put it up in Google Drive, and I'll say, okay, go take a look at all 4 weeks are there for February. Go check those out. And she'll approve them. And same thing, I have a naturopathic doctor who's the same thing. I can assume things and I can do research, but sometimes it's not 100% right. So I love that. There's a couple other tools I use for scheduling. Actually, there's 3 I'll talk about. The first one is Facebook Creator Studio.
I
I
love it.
absolutely, that has been a game changer for me. Like, I can't even tell you. So the reason why I love Creator Studio so much is because you can schedule both Facebook and Instagram at the same time. And that counts for carousel posts and it counts for IGTV, all of that stuff. And so it's a game changer. It just saves so much time. Another tool I use is Hootsuite because I do have a lot of clients who are on LinkedIn and I'll set them up on LinkedIn and I'll schedule posts out using Hootsuite. And then the third tool I use sometimes is SynthShare, and I'm able to post to, you can post to Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn through there, but because I manage so many clients, it's just confusing to do it there for so many people. But those are the 3 tools that I really go to. I'm trying to think if I'm missing any. Did I name the one that you thought I was
Trello.
going to? Trello.
Yeah,
Trello.
I know you use Trello.
It's just a favorite of mine. I love it.
Yeah, and I love it too because you can house it or you can set it up the way that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I always get tips from a bunch of people. I mean, I know a lot of people that use Trello, and while their method may not work for me, I always grab an idea that I can tweak and use for myself. And
Mm-hmm.
and the one that you recommend is, especially when it comes to using hashtags, is to create your hashtag buckets.
Mm-hmm.
So inside of my Trello board for all of my social media content that's already been created. I have a list that is all of my hashtags by category. So that way, like you said, whether I'm on my phone or on my laptop, I can just go in there and grab the categories that go with my posts, and I don't have to think about, oh, well, what if I want to, tag working moms or get access to them via hashtags? I got to think of what all of those hashtags are. They're already put together in there. I just copy and paste it and put it in Creator Studio and hit the schedule button, and I'm done.
It's so fabulous. Yeah. And Trello is good. Like, I used to be a notebook person. I still am a notebook person, but I would take notes and write down ideas and stuff like that and brain dump stuff on notebooks. And then I would lose them because I was always flipping through papers trying to find that last note. Trello is amazing. I have a category for everything over there, like a board for everything over on Trello so that I don't forget anything.
Exactly. And I have one of those lists as well. And it has like a board, and then it has lists inside. So there's a running list with all the ideas. And then once a month, or if I don't get to it every month, at least once a quarter, I go in there and look at the ideas and kind of evaluate what I want to do with them. So then I have additional lists that I kind of categorize them in, because if I don't do that, of course, the list will grow and grow and grow, and it'll be too many ideas. But that way it lets me know, do I need to take action on it? Do I need to push this off until later? Or some of them I look at and it's like, where in the world did this even come from? And why did you think this was a good idea? So that goes into my list for forget about it. So it helps me sort them so that I know, what action to take on them next. Now, I do have a question for you based on one of your tools, because I want to do more with LinkedIn this year, but LinkedIn doesn't have an internal scheduling feature.
No.
I tried Bitly, but I don't like the way that the links look when it actually posts. So with Hootsuite, when the posts go live on LinkedIn, how do the links come across?
So you can do it one of two ways. The links come across as a full link, like if you pull it from your website or something like that, and you could just leave it in its natural form. Or it also has a shortener there. So, and I think it's called Owly, like that's what their shortener. And it'll shorten the link up. So that's mostly used for like Twitter. If you're going to be in Twitter and you want a link shortener and you're counting categories. Oh my God, characters. I was going to say calories and I had to stop myself. But yeah, so with LinkedIn, you have quite a few characters that you can use that you don't always need that link shortener. So I very rarely use it, but yeah, it's there if you need it.
Okay, I'll have to. I used to use Hootsuite way, back in the day. I don't want to date myself by using too many way olds, but I got away from it. Of course, as everyone kind of developed their own schedulers, especially Facebook, inside of there. And then now we have Creator Studio, so there wasn't really a need for me to use Hootsuite much anymore. But with LinkedIn, that will definitely.
It helps a lot. They have a pretty robust free version. So if you're, it works out well. I think you have up to 30 posts for free. Anything over 30, you would need to buy some sort of a subscription with Hootsuite. So if you're doing 3 posts a week, which most of my clients are doing, it works out perfectly.
Yeah, that's good to know. And you can also connect it to your LinkedIn page, because I have both.
Yes.
And split between the two. So that's definitely good. I'll look into getting back into using Hootsuite. So that's been great. Yeah. So those are great tips, especially for the time starved who want to do more with social media. Batching, if you haven't gotten the point by now, is the way to go. So one tip I would definitely say, or takeaway for everyone, is just do it. Just develop the discipline. Even if you only block 30 minutes a week just to get started, that's better than nothing, and it will make a huge difference. Because how would you say, well, knowing you have so many clients that you manage accounts for, and your accounts are active on social media. So how would you say batching your content, and even for your clients, has made a difference in your business and your personal life?
Oh my gosh, it's huge. So it just, first off, it streamlined my workflow. Like it it just kind of cleared up things on my calendar so I can do special projects and passion projects and things that I really want to do. So if I didn't batch my content and my clients' content, I think I would be a slave to my computer. I probably wouldn't have been able to hop on the show with you. I wouldn't have time. I would be panicked, pulling my hair out. And after I get off this with you, I have to go run errands. So it's like I can have freedom and flexibility in my schedule. And so I'm not tied to my computer. So that's number one. Number two is for the personal side of things. Again, it's that freedom and flexibility. And I know it sounds weird because you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, but I'm blocking off 2 hours of time instead of doing it sporadically throughout the month. It's so focused and concentrated that once it's done, it's done. And all you're doing is popping back in just to check the temperature of things, like respond to comments, share things out, whatever it is. You're not a slave to your phone or your laptop for your social media. So that means you can be with your family. You can binge on Netflix at night if you want to. You can cuddle with your fur babies, whatever it is that makes you outside of your business. You get that freedom back. And that's what I love about it most. There's not this pressure sitting on my shoulders all the time because I have to be creating content or always in content mode. That's the other thing too, because you can get content fatigue trying to come up with information and something that's valuable. And the next thing you know it, you're just posting something just to post. And all of that stops when you really have focused time to create the content you need.
Yeah. And what I found also for myself is it clears up mental space.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that
yes.
you want to do all the other things, because if you are, like you said, in constant content creation mode, it's mentally stressing. Therefore, it blocks out anything else that you want to do. So being able, even if you just start off batching your content for just 1 week, and you get that freedom, then you do it another week. Then you like it and increase your time. You get addicted to having that free space. And then, as you mentioned, you can now, where you may have been spending really 3-4+ hours creating content, bit by bit, if you add it all up, you can take half of that, break it up, and get more engagement, be more engaging online. Interacting in stories on Instagram or creating reels, being in Facebook groups to build your community and make connections. So it's like it opens up the room for so many things that will benefit your business and just in life. I mean, because, we make connections online, but until you really engage with each other, you don't really know each other. And for us, we've known each other 2+ years.
I was going to say years, like we can put the S at the end, years.
And we've never met in real life, but because we talk to each other through stories or, video chats or different things like that, it's like we've known each other forever.
Yeah, I would think so of all the people in our group, I think, and if I were to bump into you or see you somewhere in person, we would just kind of pick up from where we left off, good old friends. And I love that feeling. And I know that the friends and the connections that I've made on Instagram and things like that have been invaluable. I mean, I can go to my social sisters anytime I need to and say, hey, ladies, what do you think about this? Is this, and I love that. And so those connections, they mean so much. And you're right. Being able to batch like that frees you up for that space that maybe you didn't have before.
Yeah. And another great thing when you have batch content, you don't have to recreate. You can look at, and I know one of the things you talk a lot about is look at your analytics, your insights into how your content is doing online and all the stuff that your audience really likes. Just redo the same content and present it a different way. Or if something didn't go well, maybe, repurpose it a different way and try it again. But unless you look at the information, you don't know. So you really can recycle the same content over and over again.
Absolutely. And then one other thing that I loved, this is pre-COVID times, we would travel a lot, my husband and my family and I, and our favorite thing to do would be taking cruises. And the reason why we like that so much is because, for the most part, you can get Wi-Fi plans, and we usually do, but for the most part, you're disconnected from social media but it's still going automatically for me in the background. So I could, drop out of life for about, 7 to 10 days and not worry about if I had content going out on social media because I did. So
Yes, that's definitely good. You can take a vacation.
yes. And just be completely disconnected, which
Mm-hmm.
is awesome.
Yeah, and I love that too. It's even like the beaches for us. I live vicariously through you when you used to take your cruises all the
Mhm.
time. But I love like when we would take family vacation to the beach, like you said, my content posts automatically. Yeah, I would hop on, every once in a while to check for comments and really just to look and see what everyone else is doing, not even, looking for a lot of engagement back. But I love stories because then
Mhm.
you get to see what's happening with all of your friends. So
Yes. Yes.
but you don't have time for that if you're constantly stuck in, oh, well, I need to post tomorrow. Well, what am I going to post? But if it's done, then you can focus on something else. So,
Yep. Yeah. And it keeps you working. It keeps you from working in your business. Like if you have your content done ahead of time and all of that, you can work on your business and grow it like you should be. Your business should not be social media. That's my job is to be right. You should be working on your business, being creative and figuring out what it is that's going to help your business grow.
that is true. And the great thing with batch and slay, your method is if we approach all of the work we have to do in our business with the same type of method,
Mhm.
it just frees up so much real time and space. And as I said before, mental time and space, because you've got that focused energy right there without breaking your train of thought, so you don't have to shift gears. I know a lot of people, some people do the Pomodoro Method.
Yes.
I time block in 2 hours, 1 to 2 hour chunks, and I allow myself breaks in between there so that I can refresh my brain and move around and kind of come back and then start on the next thing. But all of it requires discipline in order for us to be productive and make an impact with the things that we're doing. So these have been great tips, Laura. And you actually have some valuable resources that you're going to share with our audience today. I'm going to drop a link to it in the show notes, but tell us a little bit about what they can find there.
There are so many gems. So Shannon has the link, and I have so many different like calendars, checklists, processes, all the things that you would need to help you get through social media and do it effectively and have the time to batch and slay your stuff as well. And the other thing I'm working on, I didn't mention this to you earlier, but I'm going to work on a batch and slay day. So sometimes people need like the accountability, just a team of people who are there and will have time together, and we're all going to be working on our social media, and then it's done. Like it's done.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to announce that too. So that will be on the resource page as well when it's ready.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That is really good. Accountability makes a difference when you need to get things done.
Yep, definitely.
So awesome. I can't wait to share all of your goodies with my audience.
Good.
So they can get more tips like these and even more from you online. Where can my audience find you online?
Yeah, I like to hang out on Instagram, so I'm there most of the time. And my handle is at Lora Shipman. Lora is LORA_Shipman. So go find me there. And then I'm on Facebook, not as much, and then I'm on LinkedIn too. But I spend a lot of my time on Instagram.
Oh, and one thing you didn't mention: be sure to check out Laura's podcast, The Lora Shipman Show, because you can pop in your earbuds when you're on your walk and get many, many, many more tips. And she does like mini tip episodes, like tons of things that will help you with your social media. So make sure you connect with Laura online, drop into the DMs and let her know that you connected with her from this podcast episode, and engage and start batching your content so that you have time to do that. So thank you for sharing these tips with us today, Laura.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun, and I hope everybody goes out there and batch and slays.
Yay, me too.
Well, I hope you enjoyed learning more about Laura's batch and slay process to save you time with your content creation. I know I did. It has really been a game changer for me. Now, if you would like to connect with Laura on Instagram, the link to her profile as well as her resource page is in the show notes. I'm also going to include a link to her podcast. Now, if you enjoyed today's show, please let me know. take a screenshot, post it in Instagram stories, and tag me at _Shannon Baker. Or you can also feel free to DM me and let's chat about this episode in the DMs. And remember, you are more than enough. So until next time, keep calm and streamline.